Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Huddle on Tuesday, December 24th, Christmas Eve with Tara and Kathryn. And this is a very special episode. This is actually Tara and I's last Daily Huddle officially doing it together. I've decided to step away next year. Tara is going to continue on with some really exciting guests and topics. But we've got a really cool topic for you today in honor of that, which is how to consciously close a chapter. And I told Tara this morning when we connected before this, but last night I had a nightmare. And that nightmare was I came on the Daily Huddle for my last time as co-host with Tara. We were doing it in person, and for some reason, Sorrel, you had decided to put in a new sound system and a large screen TV. So we were being watched very closely with all these cameras. Well, the sound system was awful. It was very echoey and nobody could hear. Tara needed to run out and check and see if she could fix it. She got locked out of the building and they wouldn't let her back in. So I'm stuck doing what I absolutely dread, the Daily Huddle alone, hosting it alone in front of all these people. It was awful. And the reason I say that, one, it's kind of funny that's where my brain went. And two, because it brings us to our topic about how do we consciously close, right? I think there was some anxiety about closing out, but is that how I would choose to have closed my last day with you? Absolutely not. And so but it does bring to the forefront, like, how do we close a chapter? This is a chapter we're closing. We close chapters in relationships and jobs. All the time we're closing chapters. And typically in our culture, the opening of chapters is where we spend a lot of our time. We spend a lot of time interviewing, getting the job and celebrating it, but we kind of hush away when we exit. We celebrate the next job. And we wanted to talk about that today and say, because it's the end of the year, it's some time for reflection. So, Tara, what do you have to say about how do you consciously close a chapter?
Well, I have given this a great deal of thought because this day is, to put it mildly, bittersweet. When Sorrel and Gio invited me to be a host on the Daily Huddle for relationships and communication, they said, we advise you to get a co-host so that you can share in the responsibility, and there's just so many benefits to having someone with you. And without hesitation, I thought of you. And I didn't know you extremely well, but we met a few times and we just knew there was something special there. And as life would have it, typically just because you meet someone and you feel a connection does not mean that you'll stay connected and that you'll build a friendship, because life happens, right? But you accepted the role, obviously, on the Daily Huddle. And that, I don't want to use the word forced, but that was the impetus of our staying in communication every single week. And we did it to talk about the Daily Huddle. Then we built this amazing women's organization together. We had many hours spent on your couch, laughing, sharing, connecting, getting to know each other, being so beautifully honest, growing together. I've learned so much from you. So to think of you leaving the Daily Huddle, my first response was pure sadness. Because it's just, I mean, the friendship that we've built is such a treasure. And I know that we more than likely would not have made this effort without the Daily Huddle. And so initially I felt sad, but I understand your need to step away and how many other demands you have on you. And then something came to me, and I think this brings us back to a message that I hope will be inspiring to others. And it's that I realized that we can continue to grow this friendship with the same intention, whether the Daily Huddle is part of it or not. And there's a bright light. I started to sense that the Daily Huddle became a stressor to you because of all you had to manage. And now we don't have that little monkey on our back when we talk. The timing is right. As much as I'm sad, I'm happy for you. And I'm excited about where our friendship is going to go without the glue of the Daily Huddle. The glue kind of birthed our friendship. And now it's going to continue to blossom in a completely different way because our conversations will change. And I have to say, I'm excited about that chapter of our friendship.
Yes. Well, I love that you said that because you're speaking to, I mean, I'll speak to the personal side in a minute, but you're speaking to the whole thing, that there is an arc to everything. Everything, every conversation, every chapter in one's life, there's a crescendo when you're like living it. And when we were in it, we loved it. It was no monkey on our back. We loved getting on the phone, talking about the topics, building it out. And then, that arc started waning and I realized, oh, it's time to step away. And what you're talking is about is the birth of a new arc of the arc in our friendship. That was the daily huddle arc in our friendship, if we were drawing a timeline. And now we're on the rise of another one and excited to see what that's about. And I love the way that you described it because I think that that's a lot of what is there is oftentimes there's grief and closures and endings, which is what you said. And then in feeling that out of that is birthed excitement and joy. It doesn't always work like that. And the timing of that, as we know, grief has its own timeline, but
Yeah,
it is a beautiful thing to watch in the context of the daily huddle and how we've become friends, stayed friends, and also what we've done through and with and for and received from the Daily Huddle.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting that you brought up grief because I have my relationship with the word grief has really, really grown over the years. Like I used to just equate it to death, but anything that feels like it's a loss, we can meet that with grief. And as many of you have heard the saying, we grieve because we love.
Mm.
And even in the worst cases where we do lose someone and their life comes to an end, there's also something to celebrate there, the no more suffering. We grieve because of what we are losing and our loneliness. But I always think, yes, and not like diminish the sadness. Like I'm accepting the sadness that you're not going to be here with me. And I'm also looking to what's been done. I think that it is perspective. And sometimes here's where I get frustrated with this perspective mindset. And it is that, and I hear people say this all the time, and you've heard me say it, that people will say something like, well, yeah, it's bad, but it could be so much worse. And that
Mhm.
is diminishing people's feelings. Yes, it's sad. And there are sad things that we're saying goodbye to this year. Um, and there's also perspective around it. I'll give an example, personal example. When I look back over this year, and I'm just talking about things that I would have some accountability for, not like what's happened with my children or my husband. But when I look at my life in 2024, I could say to myself, wow, my income has plummeted. And I could, because I have this tendency to should myself and shame myself. I shouldn't have walked away from the big client. I shouldn't have done this. I've tapped into my savings. None of those things feel good. Or I could look at 2024 like this. I finally did a TED Talk. My book is about to be published. And quite honestly, Kathryn, the biggest thing is this time last year, my daughter Caroline lived most of her life on a couch. And now she has a home, she has a job, she has friends, she has activities, and she has a boyfriend. And that is cause for a freaking victory lap. And so
That's
that's how
huge.
I'm choosing to look at this year. I got some things done that didn't add money into my bank account, but these were big things that matter.
Yeah, especially the one about Caroline. What flashed in my mind is you read a wish list of hers
Mm-hmm.
point on the Daily Huddle. And
Yeah.
I don't remember all of it, but I believe it was a boyfriend. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it was a job.
It was actually her bucket list.
Her bucket list.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
I in my TEDx talk with this bucket list conversation, and there's 5 things on there, and 4 of them we have been checked off, right?
Wow. That's huge.
It
Huge.
is. Yeah.
And without stopping to pay attention to it, if we stick with our current like social, what we pay attention to, it's like, how did I do at my job? How is my relation? All of that. And it's like, actually, wow, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
invaluable.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that you're giving yourself credit for it and slowing down enough to see it because that's also a change for you.
You are so right. And you know what? The ability to do that is partly a big part of that. It is inspired by you. Like you have many times, I can remember how many times we've sat on your couch and you're like, wait a minute, why are you thinking that way? This is
Yeah.
what I see, Tara. I mean, talk about a friendship. That's how
Yeah.
to be a friend. Well, I want to hear about the year that you're closing out, and then I'd love to hear from other people how they see the year that they're closing out.
Yeah. I've had a lot of starts this year, actually. I think the biggest chapter that I'm closing is this one. I've had a lot of other small chapters that I've closed and things like that, but like this has been doing this for over 3 years with you. It's been a part of, I really, when I was thinking about this, we talk about habits a lot and what that does for us and how you can really accomplish your goal through daily habits, weekly habits. And every week we have come on this huddle with few exceptions of travel and whatnot. And we've been really committed. So that's for 3 years. So that's a huge chapter of mine, a habit that's going to close, a pattern. And so
Yeah.
it's it's been really interesting to think about like how will my life shift and what will I fill that time with? And will I be intentional about that or will I let life just swoop in like a wave and just, fill that space without me thinking about it?
Yeah. Yeah. That is a big change. And I mean, I feel sadness and I feel some excitement about where our friendship will go. How are you feeling about it?
I'm excited. I like changes. I like, I do love it especially when it feels right and the arc is closed. I don't love an abrupt ending. Sometimes the arc is someone else's arc, it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's part of what we talked about is how do you be intentional about it? Because, it's, I remember when I ended a relationship several years ago, we had a closing conversation. We had already broken up and we had a closing conversation. And it was so odd and counterintuitive. But when you end a chapter, there's so much to think about and so much to be grateful for. And so that's where I want to look is like, how do we be intentional about closing chapters and doing things differently? Like, why do we put people through 7, 8 interviews to get a job and we don't exit interview typically? Like, why not learn about what did they walk away with? What could we better, how can we better ourselves? I mean, and so I think for me, um, I'm excited about the possibilities because I love change. And like you, I'm very excited about what our friendship has on the horizon. I'm also really excited. You've got some really cool stuff planned for the Daily Huddle on Tuesdays next year.
Yeah.
So that is really exciting. When you got creative to come up with a plan for that, um, that is super cool and super exciting. It's one of the ways that I knew the timing was absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah, I am excited about that too. It's going to be different, but there are going to be new faces and new communities brought into the Daily Huddle family. And I mean, we're growing and you'll forever be a part of it too. And you better show up here when you can.
You know I will.
I
I
know
love
where
that
you
about the
live,
daily.
girl.
I do love that about the Daily Huddle. It's like it's a little bit like the mob. Like once you're in, you can't really ever leave. So like I'm an alumni now, alumni host, but like I'm not really going for good.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. I was thinking too, when you first came onto the Daily Huddle, you were a lot more in the entrepreneurial world.
hmm
And you have really grown your corporate gig.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Much more than I
yeah,
would have ever thought. I never thought I'd have another job after I had a business, but life takes unexpected turns.
yeah, yeah. Well, I want to hear if anybody else has a great perspective on their 2024.
Hello, Tara and Kathryn.
Sorrel.
I'd love to share my perspective on how I'm closing 2024, but as the co-founder of the Daily Huddle, I am touched and moved. And how I want to use this time is by simply acknowledging the two of you. There's something that your relationship, the relationship you took the time to nurture, carve out time for, build in a way it wasn't for the two of you. You built that relationship for us. You built that relationship for your children. You built that relationship for the Daily Huddle and for the world. So I'm so grateful for that. But I want to tell you what I'm taking away from the way you built it and the way you're closing this chapter. I made a couple of notes. I've learned that measuring my life, how successful my life is in terms of the amount of money in my bank account is bankrupt.
Mm,
And I've also learned that comparing myself and the things in my life to others diminishes everything else in my life. So I want to thank you for saying yes. You know, at the beginning, Tara, you said yes. You said yes, Kathryn, but you didn't say yes for any reason. You just said yes. And then you honored your yes, but you didn't honor your yes for any reason. You just honored it because you said it. And that's just so magical. And the kinds of miracles that are available inside of one person, two people to boot, saying yes to something bigger than themselves is this. You know, people day in and day out. At first it was Wednesday and then it became Tuesday, but everybody followed you. Why? Because they got to see themselves in the mirror. I got to see myself in the mirror. You know, I can say this with integrity to both of you. In listening to you, I have learned to love people and myself just the way I am, just the way they are. Like, amazed that I'd go someplace and it's like the things that I used to be self-conscious about at first, I may be still self-conscious, but I realize that I am, and I let it go and I play full out.
Oh, wow, that is golden.
You know, and that's coming from you. And I've noticed myself looking at people, regardless of the way they look, and saying, oh my God, what a beautiful man. And it had nothing to do with what they're wearing, whether they had hair or not, right? And when things like that happen to me, miracles like that show up for me, I think of the two of you. I'm forever grateful. Gio is not here this morning, but I'm sure he'll look at this episode, and it's one of the ones we'll cherish forever. Not because you're leaving, Kathryn, but because you are right. The Daily Huddle is that kind of place. You come in, but you can't leave. And it's so magical that you do have the freedom to leave.
Yeah.
Even though you never do.
Yeah.
So thank you for a magical life. Thank you for giving yourself unabashedly, unabridgedly, and thank you for giving us your love.
Thank you, Sorrel. That means so much. I think if that's one of the impacts that we've had of being on here,
Yeah.
like mic drop, our work here is done, you know, it's just so fulfilling to hear that that has been the impact.
Yeah. So until next time.
That's right.
You know, and
you.
others may want to say whatever they want to say or close out their years, and you go ahead and call out on them. We've got Chuck and Rashida so far.
Thanks. Rashida.
Grand Rising, Grand Rising. I am so delighted to be with you this morning and to hear that you are stepping down, but not stepping out. It's a blessing because we will see you in any given time that you popped in. You being an inspiration to my life, to my day. When you are such the day that was Wednesday to Tuesday, I was like, what happened with this day to them? Are they really going to make me have to adjust my schedule? But I did it. I did it because I go away in the word in the morning when I finished with the call on Tuesdays, before it was Wednesdays. I was like, oh my God, they did it again. They did it again. So for me, it was just a heart full of gratitude that I am knowing you, not personally, but I know you. It was a blessing. So please don't hesitate to come back. We waiting for you. We have the door open. Don't shut the door behind you and don't burn your bridges. I love you and I wish you all the best. And I see you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rashida. That means so much to me.
Such a
Thank
light,
you.
Such a light.
And Tom.
Good morning, Kathryn. Good morning, Tara. I'll go off video. Tara, it might look like Blair Witch as I bounce around here.
Uh-oh.
You know, thinking about your intro joke, I guess I'd like to take another bite at the huddle, if I could say it that way.
Oh, you've done better, but I still caught that, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you. So, the insights that you both have given over these few years have just been incredible. I don't know how to say it. I could certainly list so many things, but just communication and relationships, I just feel so enriched by the insights that you both have brought to us and how you've presented those in an even more insightful way through the interaction, through the friendship that you all have and what you're able to produce. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. And you listen so intently and take notes and reflect back. I mean, honestly, a lot of my contribution to the huddle has come from you, from voicing things beforehand, talking through things, and then hearing the feedback afterwards. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And then on this topic, closing chapters, as I listen to you both, it's really striking that the irony of someone who doesn't embrace the closing of a chapter, if they just simply look to the next chapter, they probably do that out of fear of what they may be losing. But through not being deliberate, you're most assuredly going to have an outcome that's well short of what it could be otherwise if you didn't face it deliberately, either to celebrate the end of the chapter, the new direction that you could take that part of your life forward. So I had not thought about the deliberateness as to why it's so important. So thank you for bringing that out.
Yeah, I think you're so right. I mean, we could do a whole huddle on that, but yeah, I think different reasons for different people, but oftentimes it's uncomfortable. We don't want to feel that pain. We don't want to feel the grief or sadness of leaving, so we just fill it with something else. That's sort of our culture, with the dopamine hits. So thanks for that reminder.
Thank you, Tom. I think Ronald was raising his actual real hand.
For some reason, I could not get my little icon down there to show the hand. I don't know what happened, but this is great. This is great. What I'm taking out of this is you guys, first of all, you can never leave Daily Huddle. I have, God knows when was the last time I logged in, and work and life been pushing me away from Daily Huddle, and every morning I'm kind of burnt out, kind of really mad at myself, not really carving the time for it. So needless to say that, this morning I wake up and I'm still late, but, I was like, God, I have to try to hit Daily Huddle this morning, but I made it. You guys, that relationship, the segment of relationship in Daily Huddle is so special. I'm going to tell you why. I think you guys unpeel the onion so well that, we, at the end of the day, it always get me to think about my relationship with anybody, not just wife, not just, with coworkers, just to see what you guys discover and open up to when you're talking to each other. It's amazing. And that kind of really, at the end, always pushed me to say, could I get that vulnerable with anyone in my life? And then And then I was like, okay, I'm a man. I can't do this. I can't let that much, you know, masculine power show, but you guys are so open up and it's, and I know you guys are all married women and have husbands and stuff. So it's not a matter of relationship, that is I mean, unconventional relationship. So it's like it's amazing. So I'm closing the year. Let's just bring it back to the question of the day. I'm closing the year with a lot more fearless. I'm fearless now. A lot of great things happened for me this year, and I can't wait for 25. I don't want to, toot the horn, but it's just like it's just been a great year, and I would say for the most of it is attributed to Daily Huddle in setting up the day, for our 8 tenants in the conversation and the tenants because it kind of shifts your mind to attack the day differently, you know, and for some reason my biorhythm for the day is set with the Daily Huddle. You know what I'm saying? So it's just amazing. And like I said, a lot of things happened this year is just true fearless approach of, I'm gonna get this done. I don't care what's gonna happen, and that's been it. So stay tuned for 2025, and Sorrel, let's can I say one last thing? I woke up this morning, I said, you know what? I gotta talk to Sorrel. I want to put a piece of art at the airport. That's the piece. That's what I wake up this morning.
Really?
Yes, I want to put a piece of art at the airport.
Absolutely.
And
Huh?
taking a page out of Kathryn and Tara's book,
Yes.
I say yes for no reason at all.
That's
And
so
I
great.
promise to honor my yes in assisting you to do that.
Yes.
Love that.
So
All right,
excited.
guys. Enough for
Thank
me.
you so much, Ronald.
Love
Perfect.
you.
to hear
Love
this.
you. Love you.
Love you.
Brother Stan, what's up, man? Brother Stan, love you, man.
Laura has her hand up.
That's
All
right.
right.
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. What a morning. I also woke up meditating and thinking of you, Sorrel, and the power of the words that was on my mind because when I heard you say, Kathryn said yes to this program, and her saying yes is so powerful just because she said so. So I was actually thinking about that this morning, actually grasping it. That was it, grasping what it means. But I want to thank Rashida for, I was going through the door when she called me and said, I know you're going out, but Kathryn is leaving. And I said, let me jump on to say thank you for your vulnerability, for your transparency that has helped me to open up some more. But I also want to say thank you for sharing your story about your visit to Grenada, because that's one country that I had visited when I was pretty young. And I met a brother, I won't go into this, but where I met kindness, trust, beauty that had me in shock. Meeting a man on a ship, trusting him, my boyfriend at the time, giving him money to go to Cuba, and then telling us, oh, on your way back, you'll get the money. And to see him show up to meet us when we got back to Grenada the morning blew me away. And he took us to meet his parents, to meet Morris Bishop. They took us all around the island and showed us such love. Just blew me away to the beauty and the kindness of human beings. So I always remember that story you shared. I didn't get a chance to say anything that morning, but I'll always remember you for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Thanks. And enjoy whatever it is you got to do. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bless.
Al.
So beautiful. I'd like to say one last thing, and then Kathryn, I'm going to ask you to close us out because it might be your last chance to do this for a while.
Okay.
This is not how we intended for this day to go. We were going to talk about people's year and their perspective, and so many of you came forward to celebrate Kathryn, and you've just made it unforgettable for me. And I just am so grateful for this community. And I want to share the number one thing that will always stay with me that I've learned from Kathryn. And I've said this before, and it always shows up when she communicates, just like you all say, with transparency and vulnerability. I always take this from Kathryn, and it is that she has an unbelievable ability to communicate with a combination of wisdom and love. She just keeps showing up for you all and for me as my friend, tell me what she really thinks based on her knowledge, her wisdom, and she has a way of doing it with love. And so thank you for modeling that and for inspiring me to try to communicate in that same way. I love you, Kathryn.
Thank you. I love you too. And I love all of you who showed up over the years, and this has been amazing. So I am going to close us out with our tenets. And Terry, you're going to have to step in because it's going to be true to form. I always forget one. It's always a different one, but but I'm going to start with love, which is how we start almost every time. And just it's been filled with love. I've been so blessed and grateful to be here these years. And give of your spirit, give of your yes. Eat more plants. Get your rest. Always throw that head back and laugh. And move that body. And which one did I forget, Tara?
Did you forget one?
I think I probably did.
Sleep. Stress
Anyway,
less.
move your body. Do it
Stress
all
less.
and move your body.
Have a great holiday, you all. And thank
Happy
you.
holidays, everybody.
So
Thank
cool.
you.
Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Thank
Happy
you.
Kwanzaa, guys. Happy Kwanzaa. One love. One love.
One love.
And